Hi! Hi, and welcome to Wrong! I can't. Wrong way. As you can hear, I have a bit of a cold, but this is not stopping me from unboxing one of the most anticipated wheels of 2022, if not the most anticipated wheel, the veteran Sherman-S. So, let me tell you more about it. Wrong way. First up, also great big thanks to eWheels for sending me out this veteran Sherman-S for testing purposes, and if you want to get a wheel like that, feel free to use my affiliate link below. It's also worth it to just check out eWheels' site because it's very nicely laid out what are all of the sort of key features of the veteran Sherman-S. Big thanks also for sponsoring this video or series of videos on the veteran Sherman-S. Yeah, I greatly appreciate it that you guys support my work, and yeah, living in Vancouver, BC is pretty expensive, so that will help out a lot. Still, with that said, I will be completely honest about my experience and what I think about the veteran Sherman-S. All right, let's open it up. This side up. And when you would order a veteran Sherman-S, keep in mind you will receive it in just one box. I just have it this way because it's shipped via plane, and then it's easier to ship it quickly and get allowances to air freight those boxes, because batteries, as you can see here, dangerous goods. Also, by the way, if you want to get a wheel like that in Europe, feel free to check out my eWheel and other partners I have listed below. All right, so here we have fairly well used styrofoam. You can comment below what's written on there, I have no idea. More styrofoam, and then we have a box in a box. All right, lots of protection from the sides. I'd like to see that. Not the most professional looking, but I guess that's better than nothing. By the way, this knife, Gerber, Walmart. Thank you so much for this present, Lolexina. And here we have it right away. This is, oh boy. This is the integrated side shell and battery of the veteran Sherman-S. That's cool. Let's get the other one out. Here we have a set of screws. Very beefy actually, and with Loctite. Oh, and the second part. There we go. All right, so we have the batteries here. Oh, and the new pedal design. If you think of it, the veteran Sherman-S is very similar in its build to the Kingsong S22, where you don't have any L hangers. You just have essentially the pedals mounted to the battery cover. So on this side we have a very nice magnesium shell. Here the suspension will go through. We'll assemble it in a second. And right away we also have the battery wiring. Very awesome, because the plus and the minus of the battery is separate. That's great. That's so much more difficult to make a short circuit on the wiring if they're separate. And I see some new connectors and a communication wire as well. We'll deep dive into the battery and the build quality in a disassembly video, but this is already pretty good looking. From this side though, we have just plastic. This is probably thick plastic, but it's still plastic. In comparison, on the Kingsong S22, the whole battery box is made out of metal, which makes sure that everything is more stable. And there the pedals are mounted to the whole sort of stable chassis. No plastic on the inside. I hope it's well weather sealed. It looks like it, but this is still something we are yet to find out. Let's open the other box, shall we? So I'm really excited about this wheel. However, I may be not as excited as you, because if this would come after the veteran Sherman or veteran Sherman Max, I'll be like, yeah, cool, another great wheel by Leatt. But this comes after the veteran Abrams, and the veteran Abrams was a bit of a letdown for me with all of the cutout issues and the shell, which was not really structurally sound. I also had personally a cutout on it, and after that, after I was talking with Leatt, they stopped communicating with me, which was quite a bit of a disappointment. Like, you know, they can not agree with me, that's fine, but stop talking, come on. Talk to me, veteran, talk to me, Linnea, please. Anyways, I'm still excited for a wheel. Just with all of the new wheel releases that we have, I am a bit more cautious right now. Wow, we have a testing report. Look at that, that's so cool. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. We have different testing scenarios. We have like the approval for that. Suspension parallel, no scratch, no lacking screws, no lacking screws. Wow, that's super cool. Like a separate checklist for approving all of the stuff on this wheel. That's what I'm looking for. Now you get me hyped. And we also have a instruction manual, which looks a bit more serious than the other one, with different tables of content, overview, description, function. Yeah, that's not like Big Ode. We have all of the specification, measurements, yeah, panels, description of the main screen. That's awesome. I like that. Now it still doesn't feel like something from InMotion or King Song, but that is good. Still, everything is on paper, so you know we'll have to check out the real deal, but definitely stepping in the right direction. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about those pads. Probably they're, at least for me, just use some nylon of kinetic. I have codes for side pads, Grizzla pads, torque pads, so whatever tickles your pickle, get it. I guess, how do we take it out? Boom. Nice foam. Oh my God. I know it's a prototype. But could have looked a bit better, couldn't it? Lifting up the body just without the battery should be fairly easy. Oh, this is the suspension, I think. I'll talk about that in a second. With the batteries, it weighs like 44 kilograms, so it's not that light. Here we have the charger. Look at that in a sec. And come on. Oh yeah, we got it. Anything else in the box? Let's see. That is I think that's the kickstand. Made out of plastic. A little bit bendy. Maybe I need to tighten the screws here on the bottom. That's the seat. Probably the most lightweight seat ever made. And that's it when it comes to the stuff in the box. And now we can open the wheel itself up. Wow. That black motor, that looks good. 3 kilowatt motor, 7 kilowatts peak power. A lot of zip ties holding everything together. So the motor doesn't spin, okay. Oh, okay, because the motherboard isn't connected, fine. I guess I'll unbox all of the other things, then I'll assemble it, and we'll talk a bit later about all of the stuff once it's assembled. Really like the mudguard here though. Plastic, yeah, cool. All right, so the really cool thing about let me open it up. The Sherman-S is this new Fast Ace suspension. So it's actually, the suspension here is developed in cooperation with a company that actually makes suspension. So here we have a very, very thick, girthy slider mechanism. So it shouldn't rock around and it also shouldn't collect dust like the S22 does. Actually, there's 4 suspension versions as far as I've been talking with eWheels. And I think they're yet to decide what will go out to the market. And I'll have the lighter suspension, which is, I don't know which one actually, one of those two, which is for lighter riders below 80 kilograms, and the other one is over 80 kilograms. And then there's also 2 versions for compression or rebound adjustment. So that's also still something that I'm yet to find out. But suspension is hydraulic, so no problems with pumping it up, no problems with riding in the winter, losing pressure. This is really cool. We'll see how it rides. And there's also adjustments on several levels, which I am still yet to find out. Just before we get into the assembly, we have adjustable light here with the same plugs here, jack plugs, as the Veteran Sherman. And we have the beeper right away here. Should be pretty well audible. And very, very thick motor wire here. Nice. All of the sort of components, like the suspension is not connected here, like this is just a plastic mudguard. So I hope it won't be twisting the wheel, as this is a friction point, like connection point, and then the metal motherboard cover or the battery. I'll see, no, the battery actually. And then it all connects with the motherboard cover. So I hope that twisting won't be a problem, but I guess we'll have to see about that. All right, so after removing a fair amount of screws, here, trolley handle, not easiest access to the motherboard. We can see the 100-volt motherboard itself. It's a stacked one now. It's really different from the one that we have on the Veteran Sherman Max. And here we have the wiring for the batteries, plus, and where's minus, and minus separately. Really awesome to separate them that far. Really good for safety. And yeah, let's connect it all up. Small gasket around here also, but no rubber seal, sadly. Luckily the threads are also not going into the board itself, so that's very cool. I'm still trying to figure everything out here, and I'm just gonna tell you that tire changes on the thing, not gonna be easy, because you have these pins that go into here, into the motherboard area, and then you have to line like everything perfectly to, you know, put the wires in here as well, and then on the other side, and then just to align everything right. It's a bit like origami. Definitely not the easiest thing to work on, at least for a tire change anyways. Unless you can just get the wheel out. No, you can't. Or can you? I think you know you can't. Just unscrewing those bolts. Well, I'll see about that. Oh guys, I'm fighting with this for a while now. It might just be the most difficult wheel assembly I've ever did. Because here underneath, I don't know if you can see it that well now, but there's this plastic bridge, and there's those plastic things that go underneath here, go into the wheel, and it's super difficult to align them. And then you screw it in, and then you realize they're not aligned. You have to screw everything out again. There's so many screws. These screws go into the suspension on this side, and these screws go on the other side. So the only connection of the shell to the other part of the shell is with these screws and those screws that connect to the motherboard. And then like this and this is almost like independent. And the screws that hold the motor in place with the suspension is this part. But this part and this part is just connected with those screws. So yeah, I'll be curious to see if it doesn't become too wobbly after a while or something like that. I mean, the shell is robust. I mean, it's magnesium, so it should be fine. And there's plastic in the back. Just really painful to assemble it all. All right, guys. Am I even visible? I think I am. Let me see. All right, as the sun is setting, I have finally finished assembling this thing. I'm super tired. I think it took me like 2 or 3 hours. I have to get back the next day. Like for you watching, it's just the same video, but I just need to rest a bit to get my thoughts together on that thing. It does work. It is on. It's balancing. At least it should be. Where's the power button? Here. Power. The trolley handle is very flimsy, but yeah, I'll just wait for good lighting again tomorrow. I'm framed. And yeah, I'll tell you a bit more about it. Yeah. Sturdy. Very sturdy. Alright guys, so it's the next day. I'm fully recovered from yesterday's assembly process, and now I can tell you a bit more about the features and my first impressions after taking this thing out of the box. And I actually already put 75 kilometers yesterday on the clock because I wanted to test ride it, and then I just couldn't stop riding because it was so nice. But anyways, this we will leave for the review of the ride, but now let's get on with the features. And first up, probably you're wondering what's the fuss all about with the trolley handle. And yeah, it's made out of plastic. It's also kind of hard to take it out, because you have to have 2 hands for the process. Here's a lever, and then you lift it up, and it's like almost, like it's possible but very difficult to take it out this way. And then like pushing it around isn't actually too bad. It's doable, and it's like somewhat centered, but it's difficult to turn it around. It's just like a weird grip on the top, and as you can see here, it's like it's not a good material. So I think changing this material to metal would be a lot better. There's also a small seat on top of it, and the seat is small, yet I was riding on it yesterday. It wasn't too bad actually to ride this wheel with the seat mounted, and then you have the hand here in the front on the grab handle, and this is really awesome about the design on this wheel. Next up, those things don't hurt at all. Those are the adjustments for the suspension, and yeah, the front light is pretty bright. I would say very similar to the Sherman Max or regular Sherman. Didn't really compare it, but it was totally enough in the night. It will blind others, as you can see here. Well, it is what it is. It's not a V11 light. And we have the tail lights, which are also quite visible, but the LEDs, I mean the lasers, the button here in the back doesn't really work that well. So I have always a hard time to turn the lasers on, and I have to turn them off because otherwise they will be constantly on when the thing is charging. So a bit of a problem here. I don't know if there's like anything wrong with this light unit or we'll fix something. I guess we'll see. But the lasers are cool, and I would just suggest to put them down, like the direction of the lasers really down, because lasers shouldn't go into your eye. Moving on, side pads. I did ride with them. They are usable, but they are nothing compared to even the S22 pads or the stock pads that you get now on big oat wheels. So definitely you will need something else. I'm curious how the adhesive will hold on to the magnesium though. So the side plates are made of magnesium. You can see here now already a scratch. I guess it's a softer metal, so it's really easy to get scratched up. This side just fell on some screws while I was assembling the wheel, and yeah, so scratching will be fairly quick and easy to do. Moving on, we also have the mudguard here in the back, really awesome and really down low, so that will be great. And in the front, also a mudguard, really awesome. It doesn't spray the water so far out, so that's great. Oh, I'm saying out like a Canadian almost. Here on the top, you can also see the charge ports. It's very important to remember to close them, because otherwise water will just go right in here, or stuff will get right in here when you're riding. So really important to close those up. I would prefer to have this charge port somewhere in the back or on a different spot. It's convenient for you know, charging the wheel when it's on a kickstand, but other than that, I am not the biggest fan of the placement of the charge ports, and the mechanism just keeps. Maybe they'll change that in the final version. Keeps blocking up. Come on. Leave it like that for now. Okay, cool. And now we teleport to yet another day, because I messed up the audio that day with the microphone. But now we're back with the good sound, happily. Anyways, when it comes to the kickstand, it is made out of plastic. I mean, I guess it will bend instead of breaking, but like if you just look at it, it's like it's bending a lot. I don't know how durable this will be. It's nice that it's like wide and you can like screw those in, but this is just like, I don't know, like usually kickstands are made out of metal instead of plastic. And on the topic of this part, actually, you can't see it now, or you can see it a bit. Here underneath there's wiring, which is protected by this layer of plastic. Now, it would have to be a very unfortunate fall to damage like the plastic here, and on the Master we have a lot more exposed plastic on the top. But still a bit of a concern, especially that water will run through here, through the creases, and then this area could be a bit more susceptible to water. I don't know, we'll see, but definitely I don't like that this wiring on the bottom is so exposed. It could be routed a bit differently or have a bit more protection instead of just like the holes that I can touch the silicone literally here that is close to the wires. We'll see how it'll look like in the final version. On this side you can see it a lot better. This is like wiring there. I'm touching wires there as well. When it comes to the pedals, they're definitely not my favorite. While still being huge and extendable, I'll show you this feature in a second, I really don't like how they designed them. First of all, let me turn it around a bit. First of all of those pins are just milled in, so they're not as good as MTB pins that we can find on nylon oak pedals or on original Bigode honeycomb pedals. So this is a lot more slippery. And then again, those pins are milled like they're underneath the top layer, like these side pieces. So if you look from the side, actually, those pins aren't sticking out all that much, especially compared to a similar design which we have also on the S22. Those pedals, even though I don't like those that much either, hold the grip a lot better than what we have here on the Sherman-S. Additionally, you have also those Phillips heads sticking out further than the pins, which is additionally difficult, so that you can extend those. So I loosened the screws on purpose a bit, and then on the top you can do the same, and then you have even bigger pedals. I don't know about that. And then those top part, like this part and this part, they're separate, so you can actually like pull them out if you loosen the screw enough. So the pedal itself is just this and then connected to this. I don't know how durable this is in the long run. Anyways, let me show you with my shoe what I mean with the grippiness of this pedal. So this is the Veteran Abrams pedal. Like a bit of grip, but to the sides, not that much. And this is it with the Master. Like, it's a lot better, especially if this pedal gets wet. Just the same story like on the Kingsong S22 or the even worse pedals on the Extreme Bowl Commander. This surface will become super slippery. Additionally, gunk will just stay inside here because this level is below this like sidewall thing, and they're not angle adjustable nor height adjustable. So yeah, not my favorite pedal here, Veteran. Nylon may need to come up with something quick for this, as also the mechanism here is clicky. Like, I guess it's cool that they stay in those places, but you can't fit any other pedals here. It's just like the S22, a totally new design. And I just hope also that this side piece, this shell of the Veteran Abrams will be strong enough to just hold on and stay strong and resilient, because it's not like a whole construction, it's just the side piece that is metal. The inside is made out of plastic. So I hope this will not crack. Moving on to the display, we have a completely new design now by Leatt per Kim. This is the battery indicator. This is now the odometer, and the button layout is very similar. So we have the total mileage. Here we have the temperature of the motherboard. We have the voltage. Although it's fully charged, it's 100.3 volt, so that's interesting. The amps on the control board, volt amps, so I guess that's watts. And yeah, that's it pretty much. We also have the extended functions. I won't show them now. This is the light button, and this is the tail light button. And interesting thing is the lasers are absolutely independent. So even though you turn off your tail light, might be off, the lasers will always be on, unless you turn them off with the button press here on the bottom. Just like the Veteran Sherman, there isn't pretty much any more functions except for the Bluetooth connectivity. There is no speaker, there's no RGB lighting. Some of you guys don't even care. I usually like additional lighting on the side and the possibility to have a speaker, especially Jack from Electric Dreams, would appreciate that. But hey, that's that's what we get here. When it comes to charging, we get a 5 amp charger in the box, so not too quick, not too slow, around 6 or 7 hours for a full charge. And we can connect 2 of those here. I don't know what the max amperage is. I bet someone in the comments will let you know about that. The charger is actually fairly loud when it's charging. And the interesting thing is that the fan is also running even when the charger isn't charging. So the charger isn't connected at all right now, and it's already making a sound. Then ramps up. Lasers. So that's a first for me. Pretty weird. Anyways, this is the overall look of the Veteran Veteran Sherman-S. We also have those neat grab handles in the front and the back, so it's relatively easy to lift up the wheel. This also is great for braking, for seated riding. I really like that. And yeah, that's the main overview. And one more thing I wanted to talk about, because this is something that we will really see after a extended period of time of using this wheel. And mainly this is the stability of the frame, because this thing is really a bit like origami. And my main problem is, or my main concern, is whether this thing will stay stable over 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000 kilometers, because essentially we have 2 different pistons of suspension, so they will work differently. One is for rebound, one is for compression, and either way they will work a bit differently. And usually what you get in bicycle front forks anyways, is 2 forks, 2 pistons, and a bridge that makes sure that both parts will stay symmetrical and work well. And here we don't have that. Like in the middle, we have just a plastic mudguard. There's nothing that holds both pistons together. And essentially how those 2 pistons and 2 pieces of the side shell keep together is through, number 1, 8 screws that we have here on the side. And I was checking those after every ride. After my first 70-kilometer ride, every single one of those screws was a bit loose. I had to tighten them. And then those 4 screws on the top, those I had to tighten as well as after my first ride. So I said, okay, well, first ride might be the case. After the second ride I did, which was 30 kilometers, a small fall there as well. We have a wound somewhere here. Oh yeah, here. One side was totally tight, but the other side had a couple, like not super loose, but a bit looser screws. So I will observe that over a longer time and see if I need to add more Loctite, or if this sort of mechanism where we have pretty much nothing that holds this thing together this way will stay, strong and will not get loose over time. Because the pedals, again, sort of contact point are the screws here on the top. So this goes like sort of around and then inside. With that said, suspension works great. I will talk about it more in my ride video. And yeah, I guess that's that when it comes to my first impressions of the Veteran Sherman-S. So if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.